Hey everyone, Nikki Funky here. I'm just here to show everybody a quick makeup tutorial. Just quick and simple, you know. I thought maybe we'll do something a little different today. One eye a different color eyeshadow, and the other eye another color eyeshadow from the first one. Anyways, continuing on. The first step usually to applying makeup is make sure you have a good moisturizer on after, of course, washing your face really well. I happen to have on Tatcha Dewy Skin Cream. I'll show you guys that. The camera into somewhat out of focus. Okay. And I'm going to begin with the first process. The next thing that I recommend is having some sort of primer on before you apply your foundation. This is Tatcha Silk Canvas. I have just a little bottle there. And usually what I do is I grab my brushes. This is my favorite brush to use for this. However, the handle broke off, but it'll still work. Anyways, I just dip a little bit in there. If you're using your own brushes and it's your own primer or any sort of makeup, it's okay. But if it's not, you should definitely use like a paddle of some sort to scrape that out. In any case, I'm going to be removing and putting my glasses back on, but so we're just going to evenly as possible just do little circular motions wherever you are aware that you're going to be putting some foundation. Okay. And once that is applied, I'm just going to kind of let it dry out for a few moments. Shouldn't be too wet or anything like that, but it's always good to wait a few moments in between whenever you're layering any sort of makeup. For the most part, some that might be true, might not be true. We're gonna cut that part. All right, next we're going to be applying our foundation, whether you have a liquid foundation or a powder foundation. I happen to have some Sephora brown foundation, and I just pump just a little bit, not too much. A little bit really does go a long way. Just several little dots is fine. Directly onto my concealer brush. It's pretty cool. I found this to be one of the most even ways to applicate liquid foundations. I use sponges here and there, but I find this is a little more consistent. So here we go, just little taps. If I miss any spots, we'll try to get to those. We haven't quite blended yet, we're just trying to basically apply some coverage all over our face first. And then we're going to come in with very light circular motions. Sometimes I kind of make a funny face to make sure. I kind of purposely put a little double chin in there for a moment. As unattractive as it may look for that moment, it definitely pays off in making sure you don't really have any of those concealer lines. Hopefully I don't, because I can't see perfectly well, but it's okay. I've been doing this long enough to where I get the idea. And just kind of go over the same spots again. Just kind of make sure. All right. Okay, after we apply our foundation, so typically I do apply my concealer first before my foundation, but I reversed it today. It's okay. If you're watching this first and not following along exactly, this is good. If you're just watching, keep in mind that it's more typical to add your concealers on before your foundation. It's kind of like an under layer. Okay. All right. So the concealer I happen to have right here is, it's just a little, it's a cheap one, but it works. I like it, e.l.f. So I go ahead and get my lighter color and I just make little dots underneath my eye. And then I take the bright side and I do the same thing, but alternating from where I started the original little dots. And make sure to don't be afraid to go all the way out to brighten all of the underneath of your eyes. And after I get that on, I grab a concealer brush and just kind of gently tap, very gently. The underneath of our eyes are very delicate, so whenever you're applying any moisturizers or anything like makeup, you just want to be very gentle. You don't want to force it in right away or like aggressively swipe across. When you're applying creams under your eye, you just want to tap very gently, kind of in the same way that I'm doing this with this brush. And very gently just swipe across to blend. Very gently. Okay. Alright, next up we're going to be applying our eyeshadow. I'm going to be applying a little bit of primer. Firstly. Just a couple of dots will do ya. Alright, so after we've got our eyeshadow primer on, which by the way I happen to be using a Fenty Beauty primer. I find a little bit goes a long way with that. I really enjoy it. After we do that, we're going to be using kind of like a base eyeshadow, just to make sure everything shows up as bright as possible. I have an awesome Frida palette from Ulta Beauty. And I'm going to be using the Perla color that's in here for my eyelids. I'm also going to be using this awesome Zelda Master Sword applicator for a brush. And I'm just going to come in here and gently just kind of blend a little bottom layer on into there. Alright, so next up, let's see, I'm going to be doing kind of like a bright yellow theme on my left eye today. So I'm going to grab another applicator brush. Let's see. regular, like a wider tip a little bit. This one's not a Zelda theme. It's okay, plenty more of those to come. And this is a Dia de Noches by J Cat Beauty. It's a really bright palette. It's pretty nice. But before I use that one, I'm going to go back to the Frida palette, and I'm going to be using Soul. It's kind of like a darker yellow. And I'm going to be applying that here in the crease. It's okay if you go over. Okay, so after we get that darker yellow on, it's just gonna be, we're gonna be seeing that layer underneath. I'm gonna take my cool Hylian Shield brush, and I'm gonna be taking some of this brighter yellow from the J Cat palette, and I'm going to be applying this to my lid, as full coverage as possible. Just gradually layer this on. You don't want to just clump a whole bunch on. After we apply that brighter yellow, you might find it necessary to come back in, which is totally okay, with your darker yellow, and just kind of bring this out a little more. Okay. So we just kind of have like a nice bright yellow. I have kind of a neonish green that we can add over. Hopefully I got that in focus right. I'm going to be using the same brush that I put the brighter yellow on, so we won't have too much of an effect there on our brush or the colors mixing or anything like that. And I'm just going to apply that over that bright yellow, just to really make that stand out even more. Alright. And then we're going to move on to this side, which I decided I wanted to go with a green tone. So we're going to grab the brush. This Frida palette came with a really cool little brush wiper, so we can clean our shadows off in between. So I'm going to be using the Frida palette, and I'm going to be using Agave. It's kind of like a darker green in here. And kind of the same concept that we had on the left eye, we're going to be just kind of filling in our crease up here. And again, don't worry about it if you get some on your lid. Normally you would want to use an angled brush. It works a lot better. I didn't have a chance to clean this brush off, so I'm just kind of doing what I can with a bigger brush at the moment, and it's okay. So after we get that in, I'm going to use the same brush that I used the bright yellow with, so that's easier to clean off and won't show through or mix with the colors too horribly. And we're going to come in and use this brighter green from our J Cat palette. And I'm going to move this gently across the very top of that darker green. on the crease. And you kind of want to make sure you have this good curved shape over the darker and that it's kind of blending in with that. Looks like we got a little bit of darker green showing off on the end more. So after we get that on, what I usually come in and do, you don't have to do this immediately, but it kind of bothers me right off the bat, so I usually come in and you come in with the same lighter base color, and you just kind of want to blend that harsh line in at the top. Just kind of bring all of that in together. And then we're gonna come back to our eyelid. And I have this little snazzy Sephora green palette. This color is Apple Mojito. It's a single palette that you can, I think you can still find this one online. And I'm just gonna come in here real quick and get the lid covered in this brighter toned green. Feel free to kind of drag that over the top too, and then your crease, and that'll kind of help blend everything in there. Right on. Alright, I'm going to come in with my Hyaluronic Shield brush, and I'm going to pick up some of this bright green that we used over our bright yellow on our left eye, and I'm going to just add a little bit of that over the last green we just put on. And sometimes you might get a little bit of powder falling down. Sometimes I like to excuse me, put on those collagen eye strips underneath while I'm doing my makeup. They work really well and kind of work multi-purpose. As you're putting your eyeshadow on, you just peel those off after you're done with your makeup, and or before you put your foundation on rather, and then you're ready to go for as far as not having eyeshadow falling on your cheeks. So for the eyeshadow, we're pretty much done. The next thing I come in and do after I finish off my eyeshadow is my eyeliner. Bear with me today because I'm not wearing contacts, so sometimes this can come out a little sloppy, but it's okay. I'm sure all of you out there can do a very nice job, so don't worry about it. Advice that I can give to you about this as a cosmetologist is for applying your eyeliner, it's best to hold your face at a 45-degree angle to the mirror to where you're slightly looking down. Kind of like that, but to where your eye is still open. This is the best way to get a steady line, or whatever shape you're going for. And I just kind of drag that out to the end very gently. By the way, this is a Sephora liquid eyeliner. If you have more sensitive eyes like myself, I tend to not put my eyeliner all the way in the corner because I find my eyes water more and it just kind of pulls down the eyeliner and turns into a big mess. So. And we're going to move on to the other side real quick. Same thing. I also advise starting in the middle. It would seem you know, starting over here and going across. I mean, if that works for you, that's totally fine too. For myself, it works a lot better starting in the middle. After I do my eyeliner, I prepare my eyelashes for mascara. I get an eyelash curler. I think this is simply just a Revlon eyelash curler. Feel free to get a nicer one if you like that, or a cheap one. It works fine, honestly. Tips on curling eyelashes. Start at the base, as close to your lid as possible. Be careful not to pinch yourself. It does not feel good. We want a good firm pressure, but not squeezing, you know, devastatingly hard or anything like that. And you also want to be aware of the angle of your eyelash curler. Kind of make sure it's lined up with the angle of your eyelid, if that makes sense. And we're just going to hold it there for about 15 seconds. And before we leash thing, hold on, don't fully take it away just yet. I would like you to give a little bit of pressure release, and we're going to move up ever so gently to the middle of our eyelashes and do the same thing. Hold for about 15 seconds. After the 15 seconds, which may or may not have passed, we're going to do the same thing. Gently relieve a little bit of pressure there and go as far to the tip as you can without losing your eyelashes to the eyelash curler. And same thing, you're going to move the eyelash curler back to your lid as far as possible. And we're going to let go. The reason for doing this is to avoid any crimps or creases while you're trying to curl your eyelashes. I'm going to use Damn Girl mascara from Too Faced. And trick to applying your mascara, kind of the same thing, the 45-degree angle, and just have little blinks here and there and gently apply. You can reverse your hand depending on if you're right-handed or left-handed, and get those corners and get those far eyelashes. Some people don't like mascara on their bottom lashes. That's okay, you don't need to if you don't want that. I like just a little bit. And I'm going to do the same thing over here on this side. We're going to get as close to the base as we can without pinching. Remember, be careful. Don't pinch yourself. About 15 seconds. We're going to move on up to the middle. Don't worry about me if it's not 15 seconds. This is all about you looking the best you can and feeling the best you can. And then I'm going to move on to the very top of my lashes, and I'm going to do the very same thing. I'm just going to kind of pull in there. All right. And we're going to apply our mascara. If you would like to go for like a more natural look, there's always clear mascaras too. Sometimes I like to use those. I'll use those also on my eyebrows, the clear mascaras, if I'm not feeling like do my eyebrows. But speaking of which, I'm going to do my eyebrows real quick. I'm going to show you guys how I fill those in if I'm feeling like filling them in. Sometimes I'm not always filling it. The first step I do is I grab this really awesome Sailor Moon theme eyebrow brush, and I just give my eyebrows a little brushing upward. Sometimes I'll do this before my eyeshadow, but I prefer to do it after, just in case, so I don't get eyeshadow over what I just did. And this is by the Great Brow Basics by Benefit. This is a 3-pack. It comes with a thicker brow pencil, a mascara type filler if you just feel like filling it in like that. I like to use the Precise liner. That is when I have some in here. I was running low, so we're not going to use the Precise liner today. That's okay. We can improvise. We're going to come into our little kit here, and we're going to grab the thicker lined brush. or pencil, whatever you'd like to call it. It just has a little more of an angle to it, versus a thin little kind of pencil. Like, it's kind of nice. In any case, when I don't have my contacts, I leave my glasses on for this part because simply it helps me keep a straight line. I can kind of rest this sometimes right on the top of my glasses. It's pretty derpy, but it's okay. And I just gently come in here and do little upward strokes starting at the base of my eyebrows. And I gently work my way up and out, following the direction of the growth of my eyebrows. So if they're growing to the side, I go to the side. If they're growing up, I go up. And I just kind of work my way out to the end there. I can see on the camera it could have a little more definition in this area. And if you go outside the lines, it's okay. Things happen. You just wipe it off. And we're going to do the same thing real quick on the other side. It's just a gentle fill in here. Just a little bit. Sometimes I go a little bolder, as in I darken it a little more, but depending on the color of my eyeshadow and the mood I'm feeling in, and I feel like being a little more dramatic with the brows, I might go a shade darker, kind of to match my natural hair, but I kind of keep this in between to match the totally natural blonde. Just kidding, in my natural roots. So, all right. So after we fill in our eyebrows and essentially have our eyes finished, I come back to my face and I grab a blush, and this is a just peachy. Mark Wynn's Beauty Collection. I'm not really sure. I found it at Rite Aid a while back, and I don't know. I just really like it. It has a couple of bronzers in there and a couple of different colors of blush. And I come in here and I grab my really awesome Lens of Truth angled brush here, just kind of a medium size for my blush. And feel free to use this little hack if you want to. You also don't need to. But I kind of come in here with my my palette and just put it just below my cheekbone to kind of have a straight angle there. And I come in here and I just put a little bit above, and it just kind of helps keep that crisp line. You don't have to have it crisp if you don't want. You don't have to wear blush if you don't want. Sometimes I don't wear blush, but I've found in the recent few years I've been enjoying it, so I like to put a little bit of blush on. Alright, after I put my blush on, this is another, I mean, all of these steps are totally optional, every part of it, but I like to add a little bit of highlight sometimes. This is a Wet n Wild highlighter. Good old Wet n Wild, and just a little pearly look, and I come in here with another Sailor Moon themed brush. There must be a theme going on between Zelda and Sailor Moon, I don't know. And I come in here just above my blush line and just underneath. It's also very common to put bronzer underneath this area to contour your face if you wish it to look contoured more. If you want to bring down the size of your forehead in any way, it's common to put bronzer, darker colors in that area as well. I also have this Kat Von D highlighter Alchemist palette. It has a bright green emerald, ultraviolet amethyst, blue sapphire. It's a little difficult to tell just from looking at the palette, but when we put it on, you can absolutely see it. So I'm going to come in here and just add a little bit of I'm feeling the blue sapphire. So I'm going to add just a little bit up here, just on the side from where my eyebrow probably arches. I went a little bit over, but I would suggest probably just from your arch and down. If you don't have glasses in the way, feel free to go all the way down there. All right. So the final step, it doesn't, I mean, really have to be the final, but one of the final steps that I like to add in here is this is L'Oreal Hydra Perfect translucent powder, and feel free to use the little pad guy that comes with that, but I tend to dump out just a little bit. I sprinkle just a little bit in the bottom of the lid. You don't need too much. And I grab another Sailor Moon themed brush and I go ahead and pick some of that up and go ahead and add that very gently over your blush, forehead, all of that. So it's really fun, like all the different colors and different things that you can do, the things you can discover with eyeshadows. I have a lot of fun with them. I just think makeup's amazing. It's a lot of fun, and I hope, you know, that you feel free to have fun with your colors and, you know, get creative. Don't let anyone stop you from being creative with things you want to do. I mean, there's all sorts of things you can do. For example, if you wanted to just add a big happy tree, you know, you can add a nice tree over here. And let's see. I think this tree needs a friend. Right over here. Yeah. And when you add that tree in, you can also we can add some leaves on that tree, and you can just grab your fan brush. Notice how our green eyeshadow works is, you know, just tilt up, little pressings for leaves. Let's add some leaves on this buddy. And we also want to grab a thinner brush so we can add some branches. This tree needs some branches. Anywhere you want. Your face is your canvas. Let's put some highlights. Some highlights on these leaves on this tree. Anywhere you want. Don't add too much water though. If you add too much water, like I'm tending to do, it might run a little bit. And that's okay. Add some over here. This is just a flat brush right here. What we do also, I definitely think we need, normally you want to paint your background, and first we need to have a sky back here. Some sky so we can add some clouds. Down there. So we're definitely going to need some clouds. Some clouds up here. And then what you could do, it's incredible the things you can do. You grab this, and we're just going to pull this down. It's going to be reflections. And then to make these reflections look a little more realistic, we're going to grab our palette knife here. Carve right in some reflections. We need just a couple of rocks up here too. Just a few rocks. Go ahead and grab your palette knife and drag down. Just a little bit of highlights on those rocks. I think this is just about finished. Notice if we close our left eye, it's the sun. The sun is peeking through the trees. Oh, I almost forgot. To finish off this look, feel free to add some color to your lips. You can add some lip gloss. You can add some lipstick. I'm going to use some Liplicious here, just to top this look off. That's great. From Nikki Funky to you, I hope you enjoyed this makeup tutorial. Until next time, bye-bye.